Yo, what's up, guys? SDFC bros. What a nice little 3-day weekend it was, huh, Carlos?
Amazing 3 day
Not
weekend.
only did we get, Memorial Day, right? We celebrate that.
hmm
But what else occurred on Memorial Day
Yeah,
weekend?
we started off great by getting a 2-1
Yes,
win
sir.
against LA. And I think at this point, are we, would you say, the reigning champs in California?
I think we are champions of the California Derby,
Yes.
right? I think this edition of kind of versus LA is the California Derby, and then I think versus LAFC is the SoCal Derby.
Right.
How do we like that? Put in the comment section below what you kind of name this derby or rivalry or whatever you want to call it. But guys, welcome back to another match review video. We had a nice little fun game on Saturday, and we're
Amazing
going to
game.
recap this game. But guys, before we get into it, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at SDFC Bros and TikTok at SDFC Bros. So, Carlos, this was a game that I had circled on my calendar for a very long time, and just kind of start us off with like kind of the build up of the game and the build up of the hype. I know we made a hype video for SDFC. How did that go?
Yeah, no, it was really good. Hype wasn't, like, I would say maybe a little bit was kind of like low key. You didn't really hear that many trips around San Diego. But as the week started creeping in, you start hearing more and more about this LA Galaxy game versus San Diego FC. I had some like a little talk at work too. People a little excited to hear about it, see about it. Our video sparking some interest maybe. But yeah, I don't think people believed that it was going to be as exciting as it was. But again, I think we show out that any team playing, any San Diego team playing Los Angeles is going to bring up some crazy, crazy, crazy stuff. But it was a good week going forward into that, and then just kind of the atmosphere on Saturday just felt electric. Something just like, I don't know, just something just beautiful. Something that was going to be cooking up for sure.
Yeah, this definitely felt like a derby,
Right.
right from the minute we got off of the trolley, and then you start to see kind of the opposition fans and everything like that. And right, we made the video, the hype up video for SDFC, and maybe that kind of just helped
Right,
kind of
right.
fuel my excitement for this game too. But like I said, this was one that I was circling on the calendar for a long time, just because it's like, for me, it's like it was kind of like emotional kind of playing LA Galaxy, because I was thinking back to like the very first game and kind of the emotions that it
Right.
felt like that. So let's just get into the game, right? So previous thoughts going into the game, I was very not pessimistic, but I was like, we got to watch out for Galaxy because they're
Exactly.
going to want a W, right? They're still winless this whole season. So it's kind of nice that, we prevented them from doing that. And I think, to not my surprise, I think this game played out exactly how I thought it was. I said it was going to be a 1-0 maybe, but it was a 2-1. But you said kind of the complete opposite. We were going to dominate and everything like that. But
Right.
they came to fight, huh?
Exactly, yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to. LA Galaxy decided to show up and play different. I think that's what like makes, and I think we'll talk a lot more about this, but I think that's what makes the sport of soccer so hard to be like analytical. We hear about all these like baseball, basketball, football, like just pouring pure all their money into analytics. You know what I'm saying? I think soccer is really hard to do that because like a game like this, where clearly LA Galaxy should have completely lost that game. San Diego FC has been in a huge run, and LA Galaxy is playing poor. But I think what makes the sport of soccer so anti-analytical is the passion. You know what I'm saying? The importance of these games and how one little thing can change so much more. And if a team wants to play hard, they're gonna play hard, and I that's exactly what we saw. And I mean, how great would it feel? Because I'm sure LA Galaxy has a lot of away games, but to go on an away game to San Diego and have that many fans also must feel amazing to those players. And there was a section that was completely sold out. I think we saw like 600 fans out
Yeah.
there from LA Galaxy ready to support. And not only in that thing, in the stands,
Yeah,
in
and
the
there's a
stands as
couple
well.
like sprinkled around the stadium.
Yeah, in the stadium too. So it's just kind of, it's one of those games where it was just like, you would hope and believe that it's going to be a three or a bombshell or stuff like that. But it's one of those games where it's just really on pure passion and pure. And I think that's the way that I'm going to go in this, like talking about it, is just, it's just one of those games where you can't really look at what happened here, what this, or what this. It's just was one of those pure magic soccer games. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, it's do or die.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I know we mentioned in the previous video, right, the match preview, right, for
Right.
this game, we said in these types of games where it's high emotion, everything like that, form goes out the window.
Exactly.
And
Tactics
I think
too.
if this was your first game watching San Diego FC versus LA Galaxy, you probably would have been thought that Galaxy was on a huge losing streak.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's like I think that's super important to kind of realize. And after the game, we were talking to Galaxy fans and everything like that. And kind of after talking to them and everything like that, it's like I know their situation, but I think it's important for us, right, San Diego fans, to realize is we took care of them this season, but they're gonna be back next season. So
100%.
we take these 2 W's, we put them in the bank, and we hold it from there. And this is a start of a brilliant rivalry, right? Just from start to finish, it was constant, back and forth. So let's get into the goals, right? So LA Galaxy striked first in this game,
100%.
and Kumado unfortunately left the inside open for Fagundes to make that touch on the inside and then just have a go. And to be fair, it was a good goal, right? I mean, I seen it and I was like, all right, how do we react in this moment? Because it's like we know like San Diego kind of takes a while to kind of build up into the game. So we were thinking, okay, and especially because it was the end of the first half, right? There was like 5 minutes remaining, right? We were asking kind of a lot of questions on how are we going to insert ourselves into a very difficult game, because now Galaxy is up. How are they going to play, right? They're going to play defensive, whatever. But what did you kind of think of like the first couple moments and then Galaxy striking first?
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
I know you were walking.
Yeah,
around
we were walking around and stuff. But yeah, because we didn't even think it was gonna be that packed. But yeah, after seeing that goal, it kind of was just like, I mean, your heart drops a little bit, but then you remember back, like there's still a long game to go, and again, this is a game that might not go your way in the beginning, but you just trust in your team, you trust in the passion that San Diego has, and so it was kind of one of those moments where it was just like, okay, well, let's just see how we react. And I mean, honestly, we had less than a minute, I think, less than
like
a minute to
30
really
seconds.
really think about it, because what happened, Vince?
Well, yeah, I mean, just like how you said, in less than 30 seconds, we grabbed the ball, right, and we're literally on the vlog. You can see, I'm like, oh, how are we gonna react?
Right.
And like I just on purpose, I left the clip just to keep going to show how quick, right, it went from LA Galaxy goal to San Diego goal.
Right.
And a nice little line splitting pass from Yepe. I think he has back-to-back assists in these last couple games, so that's something to realize. He's starting to get into goal contributions and stuff like that. Yepe, and like I said, line splitting pass, Luca Della Torre sneaks it past for the 1-1, and the kind of impact that this goal had was it's like, we kind of needed that kick in the ass
100%.
a little bit from Galaxy to kind of kick us into gear, but that goal alone, I think, sparked something in us to keep going throughout the whole game.
Right.
Because, Galaxy kind of were pressuring a little bit towards, the first couple minutes and stuff like that. So I think it was important for us to kind of look at this goal and to really soak it in to the point where it's like, okay, we're back level now. We can focus on the second half and what we can do better. And I mean, Luca Della Torre, his impact for SDFC in these last couple games has been super important for us. And I mean, because of those performances, got a nice little call up to U.S. men's national team, innit?
Right. And I think that's like, it was a big week for them, man. I know you'll probably hear it on socials all the time, but got married.
Yeah.
Gets to score at the game, and then called up for the national team. Like that, what a week for that, man.
Yeah.
Still, you still see him. It doesn't even look like a face sometimes.
He's
so
very,
shout out to Luca Del Torre.
Yeah, he's very mellow.
Yeah,
he doesn't really have like that animated kind of personality.
He's just a chill guy.
He's just a chill guy. the meme.
Yeah, he's just a chill guy.
He's just a
He
chill
got
guy.
one of the best three things to happen to him. He's just chilling.
Yeah, he's just a chill guy.
No. But just to go back to that goal, I think it really did spark, like you said, it sparked something in us. I think even just the pure loudness that you hear from the fans and just the emotion that came in after that, it was like the players, and then going into halftime, it was just like, I couldn't imagine. Like, I think everything just like, sometimes I think like things just happen in life. You know what I'm saying? Everything just kind of fits perfectly. Because, I mean, if we score first, does it change anything?
Right.
If we scored later in that second half, do we get sluggish and stuff like that? But it just seems so perfect for LA Galaxy to score, and then us to come right back and just complete, like, excitement, enjoyment, and that cheering to go into halftime. And I couldn't just imagine what Mikey Vadas had to say. Like, do you hear the people out there screaming your names, like, fight, 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 fight?
Right.
And I mean, later we see what the reality happened, and I think it was just one of those moments where everything was just perfect down to the wire.
Yeah. I think I'd love to be a fly in the fly on the wall
Yeah.
in that locker room to kind of just hear what Mikey Vadas was saying and everything like that. And he definitely seems like that type of coach who's a good motivator, right?
Exactly.
You know, we could talk about tactics and everything like that, but I think 50% of the coaching job is to motivate your team, tell them to
100%.
get up for these types of occasions. And right, it helped us, you know, that we got that goal at the end of at the end of the first half. But I think that second half, right, and we'll go into the second half right now, very balanced, right?
Right.
It was very gritty as well. There was a lot of hard challenges going from both teams and everything like that.
Yeah, you know, I think.
There was
Sorry.
a lot. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think like that's where the real rivalry starts because these players are like at each other.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, you know, we'll talk about the fan stuff and everything later, but I mean, it was brewing on the pitch,
Right.
Because like LA Galaxy was, you know, like either they'd throw the ball out or they'd get in each other's face, like, or do a. I mean, even San Diego, we were doing tackles that were just like
crunching tackles.
Yeah. Just it was insane, and it was just one of those moments where you realize like that's the rivalry that's happening, which was not the same that was happening in the LAFC game.
No.
The LA Galaxy's game really showed like might be the rivalry because like that's where the on the pitch goes. That's where the anger comes from these players, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, with I forgot to mention earlier, the TIFO.
Right.
The TIFO was pretty cool to see. That was our second TIFO, right? We had the first one, the home game, right? Our first home game, we had that one TIFO. But then this one, right? Derby, everything like that. So I think seeing that TIFO is just super cool because I've never seen a TIFO like in person.
Yeah, neither have I,
Even though I went to go see Milan and everything like that. They had like some choreography, right? But it wasn't like a proper TIFO, you know what I mean? So it's like, that was just super cool to see. And obviously because it was like San Diego, everything like that, I think it just, you know, made the occasion feel a lot more like of a rivalry.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And, you know, to your point, how we're talking about how it's very gritty, right? The defensive line, man. I'm so happy with these last couple performances from the back line because when you kind of look at kind of where we were at, kind of beginning stages of the season, right? And kind of the mid to early start, right? That main point I'm talking about is April, right? That whole month of April is so bad. But then this month of May, right? I keep on saying it every video, but I think it's just super important to look at games like this, right? A derby match where, you know, a lot of emotions are running high and you got guys like Bombino who puts in another solid performance, right? He was making tackles, everything like that. McVay as well, who had a solid game as well. Patty McNair also putting up a big performance. Unfortunately, Kumado did get injured, and it looked kind of bad because he got, walked off the pitch and everything like that. So I'm hoping that injury isn't as intensive as we think. Right? So, because obviously we want him, you know, back in the lineup because I think with Kumado in the lineup, it just makes I think, overall run of play a lot more smoother than if you were to have like a Lawful Sen. Just two different profiles.
I agree.
You know, so I'm hoping that, you know, speedy recovery for Kumado and everything like that. But what did you kind of think about the defensive kind of play in this game, especially because Galaxy were kind of pressuring us at certain moments of the game?
Yeah, no, I think the defensive play was amazing. I think it's just what you could ask for. I think we've come a long way since the beginning, and I think one of the biggest things that we continue to say was we're very scared of our defense, and it just shows we got the right guys for them. And I can't keep praising him enough. Luca Bambino is just amazing, amazing. Just again, just for an 18-year-old to be so confident and so willing to play that hard I think he's a great guy, and I think it's 100% him, but I think it also shows on Paddock McNear and McVay who are putting it under his wing. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't get there as an 18-year-old just showing up like I'm the shit. You know what I'm saying? You show up there and you have leaders who allow you to show up and show who you're worth, and you can see it. That back line is confident. They're like family. They're close. They're there, and it allows Luca Bambino to be confident in his role, and it's an important role as a left back, and you see him not getting in there or making silly mistakes because he is confident. He has the trust in his leaders, and his leaders have the trust in him, and it just goes to show, like, as an 18-year-old, like, you the ability to do that. And these games just keep coming, like, you just see the defense grow a little bit more because of that.
Yeah, 100%. I could have even said it better, right? The whole confidence and everything like that. And after watching the podcast, right, for San Diego FC, the official podcast, when they had Bombino on, obviously, I think for me, like, kind of being Italian, right, it just felt really special because it kind of confirmed that all of us Italians, we think the same, right? Because it's like play with our heart on our sleeves, right?
Right.
We play for the badge. We play. There's a famous saying in Italy, right, where Bambino had he said, right, you play for like the name on the back, right? So it's like I think that was really touching to kind of hear that, because it's like he has like those values of making his family proud and everything like that. So it's like not only is he, you know, trying to prove a point with San Diego FC, he's trying to make that, you know, family name proud and everything like that. So I don't know.
Well, no. I agree with you, and I don't want you
Yeah.
to like to step away from that, because I think one of the biggest things that we, at least our generation, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
growing up in soccer, is stepping away from that.
Uh-huh.
And you see a lot of times these players, these young players, they come in, money, get out, go.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm just gonna play big names, this and that. What Bombino brings at 18 years old to this San Diego team is exactly what we have been praising for the beginning of this. You know what I'm saying? Is to play with passion, to play with
Right.
heart, to play with everything, and it completely 100% shows that. And yeah, he came from LAFC, but I think his home is here now.
Yeah.
At least from what I've heard and seen, it's just like that passion. And you know, I kept making fun of you and kept saying like, oh, these Italians. You know what I'm saying? But I think it was what we needed, and it
Yeah.
shows. And I think we're gonna get into it more, but I think like that later half of this game really showed what we had to do. And I don't know if you want to talk before.
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
but
So let's get into that. So it's like you just felt SD was pushing and
Right.
pushing, and they were banging on that door. And at least I felt like I was like, we're gonna get something here. I just felt it. And in the vlog, I was saying that too. And to break the deadlock, a miracle happens, because Galaxy, right? They had that failed clearance
Right.
straight down.
Done by
to
Luca
Andrew.
Bambino, by the way.
Yeah, Fairs. He had that pressure and everything like that, so he kind of forced that mistake from Galaxy, and right, that ball gets, you know, cleared straight to Dreyer's feet, right, and you just see him just push and go, and right as soon as he gets into the box, he looks up, perfect ball,
Right.
perfect
Beautiful.
ball to Chuki's head, and solid finish, like header, side net, and Snapdragon goes crazy.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
No, I mean it. You couldn't write a better script, man. It was beautiful, and it couldn't have been anybody else but
Yeah.
Chucky. I think like I really want to get into like everything before that, and I think we will.
Sure.
But I think the most important part is like, I think like Mikey Vada said it, and like there's like a clip in the SDFC thing, like you know their montage stuff like that. But like those are what make clubs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Those moments, like Chucky, like coming off an injury, you know, still kind of this and that, and beating LA Galaxy to score that goal. Like that's what writes history in clubs. That's what big moments are, and it's just like you couldn't write a better script. 95th minute, game's about to end. Again, Dreyer, somebody we have been saying is like another important role. Dreyer to Chucky, and just a magic goal. I mean, like, and Chucky doesn't score a lot of headers.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those moments where it just came and it happened. It was just an ode to what we've been, I feel like, creating. I mean, as us as like fans,
Sure.
as a club, it was just like I think a confirmation, like this is something great and this is something that's gonna be magic. And again, you just see it through San Diego. I bet you it was almost as important as like Manny Machado or Fernando
right.
Tatis hitting a home run. It was just one of those moments, and Chucky now gets to live that,
Yeah.
which is amazing. And it just, like I said, I think it was just one of those moments that was just picture perfect, and it just showed that what we're building in San Diego is important and just keeps these things going forward and forward and forward. So
Yeah,
it's amazing.
yeah, no, it was something of a spectacle, right? Like you said, it's like you could have been writ a more perfect script, you know what I mean? And it was just the scenes, right? You know, we were with all the mandem and everything like that, and right, just the people who are around us as well. It's like it just felt so like harmonious, right? And we were right next to Galaxy fans as well, so it just felt so much better than that. And you know, Anders as well, right? Just how big of a role has he been playing in this team, right? With Chucky and everything like that. We were all, oh, how's this team gonna, you know, fare with, you know, Chucky and everything like that? And we're all like, oh, DP Dreyer comes in. Obviously, none of us knew who he was coming in.
Right.
But, man, I think for sure, I'm more than confident saying that he is in the MLS MVP conversation.
I think so.
At this point, right? I think I was looking at some stats. It's like 12 goals and assists in 15 games. So that is sensational.
No,
right?
it's amazing.
He's getting almost a goal contribution every single game, right? He's making that difference. He's creating that spark. And I mean, like you said, Chucky, I know there was a lot of kind of dark moments with Chucky, right? We were very kind of on the fence about him. How is he going to slot into this team and everything like that? Because he's never really had a role like this in any other teams that he's been in. And I mean, even, right, we talked about Dryer and everything like that, his impact, but, man, Chucky is there with him. And I think we have such a dynamic front three, right? And Martin plays his role in there that he needs to as well. But Chucky and Dryer, man, those guys are top quality players.
Exactly.
For sure, so.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And if we have time, I kind of want to go back to like before all of that. Yeah, I think there's a lot to say because I mean, like we tend to look at this as a very like tactical, like how they play, how they this and that. And I think the last 70 minutes of this game, it's really hard to judge a game. You know what I'm saying? Because we could sit here and be like, oh my God, LA Galaxy wasn't good. Like we had a bad performance, stuff like that. But really, realistically, what I want to talk about is like in that last 70 minutes, for me, LA Galaxy was the hardest team that we've ever played. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that was what it felt like. And what happened there, and I think which I really loved and what I really enjoyed is that this shows how this team can play when we're in playoff contention and when we're in these critical, because this, I mean, for me, high pressure moments, because this game wasn't just a regular game. You know what I'm saying? The city needed it, SDFC needed it, the players needed it. So you see that, and we needed to see how. Because I wouldn't have been confident with a tie. I know we could have walked away and we would have still been fine on the table. It wouldn't have done anything to us. But that win was important because it showed what happens in high pressure moments, and the team showed that out. And I think what the most important part was in those last 70 minutes, there was not one player on that field. And I think like it's just emotional, and I feel there was not one player on that field who didn't give 100%.
Yeah.
There was not one player who wasn't doing everything that they could. LA Galaxy was playing a hard game, and like I said, for me, it's like one of our hardest games because it wasn't about how great Galaxy was before or anything like that. It was about the moment, and that's what we're gonna carry on into these playoff games is those moments because it's such a hard system. You know what I'm saying? You could be the lowest team in this playoffs and then go and win the whole thing. Why? Because your team is showed up. And today, that on Saturday, SDFC showed that. Like, we're not just second place for nothing. And you put us in these high-pressure moments, we're going to come back. Because every single player played 100% of what they could. And we deserved that result. And the soccer gods gave us that result because we played 100%.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Like, it was a stupid mistake that happened. It was just one of those moments where we deserved to win. The better team deserved to win. We happened. Chucky ran all the way from up top all the way down and had one of the greatest slide tackles I have seen from a forward, from an attacker, and just got it back and kept going. And it's just like consistently each player gave 100%. And for me, I think that just hit a check mark that I needed to see from STFC of what is Mikey Vadas going to do? What are the players going to do? What is this organization going to do when we are put in these playoff positions?
Yeah.
And in the last 70 minutes, that's what I saw.
Yeah, that's actually a solid point because it's like we haven't really seen SD playing a real high intensity situation, right? I mean, fucking brilliant point, right? Those last 70 minutes, right? We were all anxious, right? I was, chirping, everything like that. I was saying, don't worry, we're going to get the winner and everything like that. But it's like when you kind of, look at it, right, in just football terms and perspective, right? That was a very gritty game. And like how, we mentioned earlier, right? Form goes out the window. 100%. You're just playing this match just strictly off of emotion, right? So it's like, I think, great point that actually, because it's like we never really seen San Diego in a high intensity situation like that. So
well, yeah, because I mean we've been in positions where we 1-0 or this and that, and then we'll sit there on the sideline and be like, why don't you put this sub in? Why don't you put that? Even as a fan, like I was like, I don't give just play. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just play. Do the best that you freaking can. Mm-hmm. And what did the team do? It did that. Did you even remember when we got our last sub in?
I have no idea. I know we made 3 subs.
Right, but do you even remember? Like, it wasn't that because it didn't matter.
Valakari came in, but that's all I remember.
Right, but it doesn't matter because in those moments, it doesn't matter those things. It's like who's coming in, what's gonna happen,
and are you making that?
And are you making that difference? And completely, every person who stepped on the field knew the mission and knew exactly what they had to do.
Yeah, great point. That's actually pretty solid. So, let's talk about kind of the moment, right? That kind of took the occasion, right, and kind of, knocked it down a couple notches, right? The fights at the end of the game. And obviously, right, here at SDFC Bros, right, we totally do not condone that, right? On the vlog, I said we do condone that, but I am here to say we do not condone that type of behavior at SDFC Bros, at San Diego FC, and anything San Diego. So, right, we do not condone that type of behavior, but what was kind of like, Why? Let's start this. Why do you think it happened? and was it justified?
You know, I think it's just emotions a lot. I think emotions a lot. I think if we look back to the LAFC game, it was kind of more isolated. I think that there's that hatred between like San Diego and LA, and I think it's always going to be there. I just think that there was a lot of poor managed situations. That LAFC game, it was just tough. You know what I'm saying? You let these fans stay in, a lot of drinking. It's nighttime. It's a Saturday night. When it came to this one, I think LA Galaxy was just so pissed at the fact that they haven't won anything, and it kind of felt like, oh my God, here we go again. We might win this, and then all of a sudden,
or at least get something away with this.
Right, get away something with this, and then we don't, and then they don't, and then you just put a 95th minute to finish it, and of course it's Chucky. Like any person's gonna be butthurt, upset. And then I think, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, because I think so, but I think it's really poor. I think it was poorly managed. The security, and I think in MLS we haven't seen something like this truly, but you know, this is soccer, and this is what you hate to say it, you hate to see it, but this is a product of what soccer brings, and it's yes, like chirping and all that stuff is the passion and everything like that. But in every league, every situation, they have these problems. And if we don't nip it in the bud fast enough, if we don't put the right security guards, and we think that it's not going to go away, it's going to be there every match, especially against us. This isn't San Jose. This isn't Los Angeles versus Los Angeles. This is San Diego versus LA, and that has been rooted from
for
a kid.
I would say like probably since like forever, like in sports history, right? We go back. Dodgers, Padres, right? We mentioned Raiders, Chargers. Even if you want to say, right, San Diego Clippers versus Lakers, right? So it's like there's just so much rooted history, not just between LA Galaxy and San Diego FC. I saw this game as San Diego versus Los Angeles. That's how I saw this game, and I think that's kind of how the fight kind of transpired, was because of that hatred, right, towards San Diego for Los Angeles, or LA to San Diego, and everything like that. So I think that's kind of the root of the problem, right? Is just that rooted rivalry. You know what I mean? And I mean, I hate to say like, oh, like that's football, right? You get those rivalries, right? In Italy, right? When I went, right, there was opposing fans. They were throwing beer at us, and it's like they're not even a team from Milan, right? They're a team from somewhere else. So it's like that type of, I think, behavior is always going to be there in football, but I think to your point, I don't think that the security was that great either. So I think that's something to kind of look out for if you're, you know, San Diego FC, if you want, right, these games to be a safe space, which they are, right? I don't think there's any question of a doubt, and I've been seeing these men on Twitter talking about, oh, is it safe to go to a San Diego game? It's safe, guys. Like, I think that is just utter nonsense that these guys are trying to push this narrative that San Diego FC is like some hostile environment that it's not safe to go to, because we linked up with the RSL bros. They had a good time and everything like that. Even FC Dallas supporters, they got absolutely smoked. Nothing happened, right? Even LAFC fans, there weren't any fights in the stadium.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And to your point, like even LA Galaxy fans that were just sitting in the stands,
right,
just with amongst San Diego fans, nothing.
They were fine.
Everything was fine. I think it's just when there was this cocktail of the LA Galaxy supporters, they were not allowed to leave. You know what I'm saying? Rightfully so, but they weren't allowed to leave, and then you had chirping. It just came to this disaster of everybody running after each other. And again, it's just like one of those things where security needs to be way better, and I don't think San Diego anticipated it, but we just go forward from that, and hopefully we learn. I could even thinking of like banning alcohol by like the half.
That'd be kind of crazy.
Just for those games. You know what I'm saying? Just
during derbies and whatnot.
During derbies, you know what I'm saying? Just because it's like one of those things where it's.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, if they have to implement these sorts of things, because it's like, what's it called? What's that saying? It's like, we can never have like nice things or something like that, you know, whatever. It's like, and if you guys kind of just ruin it for everybody, you get it taken away for everybody.
Right, exactly. But it's just something that's going to always happen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm sure when we go up to LA again, for LAFC, it might even just be the other way around.
Yeah.
It's just really hard. But I'm sure LAFC and LA Galaxy have a lot better security than we probably have.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Right,
We'll have to see when we go. So let's get into match ratings, right? Let's put a bow on this match review. So What were you saying? Out of 10, match rating versus Galaxy. What do we say?
Yeah, I like to always look at it as an analytical way, like performances and everything like that. But I think with a game like this, something like that gets thrown out the window, and I'm giving this. Honestly, I don't look at it at anything else other than one of the greatest soccer games that I've witnessed in my life. Like personally, like
Right.
pure emotion, pure everything. I'm a Chivas fan, I'm a Barcelona fan, but I've never been able to see a game like that
Right.
in person in real life, and it's just one of those moments that happen in history. So I have to give it a 9 because it was just a roller coaster. And if we're gonna rate it in like movie terms or music, it's like an up and down and
Right,
everything.
right.
It's a 9 game for me.
Yeah. I mean that's pretty solid, right? Given everything, the storylines, right? The rivalry, right? The LA kind of SD beef, everything like that, right? It wasn't a pleasing game to watch tactically, right?
Right,
I think
exactly.
we can all agree on this, but it's like the pure emotion and kind of like I said, the storylines. It really made up for all that. So I'm actually gonna agree with you. I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10 as well, just solely based on the fact of just the whole spectacle, right? From start to finish, it
Right.
was just so entertaining. It was just entertaining. I think that's something to kind of just summarize this whole game. Entertaining.
Exactly, and I think at the end of the day, like sometimes we, as people who do podcasts or do these things, we just forget soccer is about enjoyment, and
Right.
you can look at it tactically, you can look at everything like that, but games like that prove every day how just beautiful the game of soccer is.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, what a game. That was a really interesting. Definitely my favorite San Diego FC game, like by a
Right,
mile.
but yeah, me too.
By
I
a
agree.
mile,
And we
so.
won 5-0, so just like think about that.
Yeah, definitely. So let's actually preview our next game versus Seattle Sounders, which is tomorrow, right? At the time of recording, it is tomorrow, right? It is an away game, so they're gonna have an event at Bluefoot Club
Yeah,
and Fair Play. So if y'all
And
are,
Bluefoot is a really good soccer bar.
yeah.
By the way, if anybody in San Diego doesn't know about that, they watch a lot of Premier League games there early in the morning. The owner, I think, is a Newcastle fan.
Yeah, I think we've been there one time
we
actually.
were. Or yeah, we
We've
were
seen
there.
the Milan Juve
Yeah,
game
we
there,
saw
huh?
Milan.
That's right.
Yeah, I think he's a Newcastle fan.
Yeah.
But if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so
But yeah, they're a really cool bar, so you should definitely check that out regardless.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, if you guys are over there, make sure you guys check it out. But Seattle Sounders, they're in 5th place right now. I know in the kind of beginning stages of the season when we played them at home, they were kind of low, right? I think they were like below 9th or something like that around there. But now they've really kind of picked up speed, and now they're a formidable opponent, right, in the West and everything like that. They've picked up a lot of momentum going into these games. And so in their last 3 games, they had a 4-0 loss to LAFC, a 1-1 draw to Portland, and then they beat FC Dallas 1-0 at home. So based off of that, right, I think, we're on a really big high right now,
Exactly.
right? I think we're going to ride this momentum. And I don't think this is a team to kind of sleep on, because I think they can give us some trouble, even though we haven't seen it right from our hand. And I mean, LAFC kind of took care of them pretty comfortably, right? 4-0. I'm going to say we win this one again. I think, we do the double, and I think, we're really at an all-time high.
Yeah.
I think, right, 5 games undefeated, right? We only conceded 2 goals, I think, in our last 5, which is phenomenal. So I think, with us kind of riding momentum, everything like that, and, Seattle kind of being a little inconsistent, I think we take the dub. I'm going to say 2-0. I think we keep a clean sheet. So what do you think? Are you worried about Seattle, or is there anything kind of concerning you?
I don't think I'm really worried about Seattle. I think just us away is really it's
a little shaky.
It's a little shaky. I think we're gonna play like our B team
Okay.
of players, and that's crazy. It'll be probably I think like a 1-1 or a 1-0.
Okay.
And I think the more important will be our Austin. We're gonna be looking forward to that game.
Yeah, so getting quickly into that Austin game before we head out. This is an Austin team that I think has been a little inconsistent. I think they had a pretty good beginning of the season, and they kind of dipped off a little bit. Obviously, they're in 9th, and in their last couple games, they really haven't been playing all that great. In their last 3 games, right, not counting that U.S. Open Cup, they've drew against Atlanta, Vancouver, and Minnesota. So
They tied against Vancouver.
yeah, they tied 0-0, so they kept them quiet for 90 minutes, which was kind of crazy. But in this one, again, I'm not too worried. I'm gonna say a 1-0. I think it's gonna be close, just because I don't think they concede a lot of goals per se. So I think that's something that they can kind of, take into this game. Maybe they come away with a draw and kind of just, do something like that. But I'm going to say a 1-0 for versus Austin. What are we saying?
Yeah, I think a 2-0 on that one. I think, like I said, we want to close out the game. Truly, I think we want to close out the game. The first time we played against them was our youngest side, and I think we are going into a season of away games, and I think that it is important for us to win, and I think the team values that winning at home before we go into the 4 or 3 away games, coming back. So I think we'll beat them pretty easily 2-0, and then go forward. So then we can hopefully not get a dry spell on those away games.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game to kind of come back to, right? Revenge. That's the title, I guess.
100%. I mean, it's the biggest revenge. Yeah. Hopefully Austin.
Yeah, hopefully Austin. Yeah, that'll be a
nice little look back.
So,
yeah.
Guys, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on TikTok. And we'll see y'all in the next video. Ciao ragazzi.